What is up, YouTube? What is up, Canada? Matt McKeever here. In today's video is going to be particularly interesting for any of you that are real estate investors in southwestern Ontario, because we're going to talk about WTF is going on with the current real estate market. I'm going to talk specifically here in London, Ontario, but I'd love for you guys to jump in the comment section. Let me know, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? And what are you personally experiencing in your real estate market? And do you believe it's in a bubble right now? Or do you think that this is sustainable? Do you think that this is just normal? And specifically, later in the video, we're actually going to look at a couple different apartment buildings for sale here in London, Ontario for over $300,000 a unit. Now, just to make sure we're talking the same language, $300,000 a unit, that's not for the whole building. That means for every unit in that building, you're going to pay $300,000 to buy it. You guys don't have to look that far back on my YouTube channel when you can see that I explained to you my current apartment buying business model is buy units for less than $100,000, make money. Now, if they start selling for $300,000, I might have to go back to the drawing board when it comes to my business model, which is a little concerning for me. So one, I'd love to hear, what's your current business model, and have you had to adjust it in 2021 because of the craziness that's currently going on in the real estate market? And you think, is this sustainable? Is this possible? It's $300,000 not even the top? Could it go higher? And so I'm going to bring up some screen shares. We're going to dive into some of the data, but this is a crazy time, in my opinion, right here in the London, Ontario market. We'll explore it a little bit further. And hey, I'm not even necessarily complaining, because if it turns out that every apartment unit in southwestern Ontario is worth $300,000, well, it's going to turn out I'm richer than I think, just like Scotiabank's been telling me on all those commercials for years. But I think that it's going to be difficult for people that want to follow in my footsteps and meet the 1% rule. Because again, that $300,000 apartment would actually have to rent out for $3,000 a month. So again, you guys can tell me what your thoughts are, but let's pull up the screen share. And before we get into the specific buildings that I want to analyze with you guys, or at least make some fun of, first, let's look at what's going on in the general mainstream media, right? So you don't have to look far for articles like this one, which is from the Remax blog. You know, the London housing market is no stranger to record-breaking activity, with strong trends of 2020 anticipated to continue, and according to some projections, accelerate well into 2021. So this was talking about, I think, just what was going on in 2021 back in February and March, saying that, you know, it was an absolutely crazy month for London real estate. But let's actually look at some of the specific data. And so you guys have heard me say time and time again that this point in time in particular, you need to be more dialed in on the data than ever before. So if you're not checking this on the regular, shame on you, because you are exposing yourself and your portfolio to a lot of unnecessary risk and concerns. So let's look. London, St. Thomas, MLS residential activity. And so again, this is primarily going to be made up of retail transactions. These aren't necessarily the apartment buildings we're about to go look at in a second, but this is still useful for perspective, because I mean, hey, if the average price and the median price is around $600,000 in 2021, that means an apartment unit is worth half of that. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around it, but this house I'm staying in right now, to me, really should only be worth about $500,600,000. I know in this market, maybe it's worth $750,000, but really, I don't see it being worth much more than that. But let's say it was worth $600,000, the median price for a house in London, Ontario right now. That essentially means I could either take 2 apartments or this house. You know, I won't give you guys a full house tour right now, but this is a 4-bed, 2.5 or 3.5 bath. You know, we've got a kitchen, living room, dining room, 2 stories, an unfinished basement, car and a half garage. There's a fair bit of space here compared to what a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment is. You could even have 2 2-bedroom apartments, and you're still going to have a lot less space and a lot less amenities than the house I currently find myself in. Now, obviously, that's not an apples to apples comparison, but I just thought it'd be kind of a fun talking point to share with you guys. And so when we're looking at sale to list price ratio, we can see everything was selling above, and median days on market was 7. So again, that's not actually that strange until you get back to 2016 actually. So in 2016, it used to be 23. Now, reminder, 2016 is when I actually started my YouTube channel. So the median days on market back then was 23 days. That's when Jeff Weibel and I used to go and just make offers on everything and lowball and see who would talk to us. Where, you know, these days, not quite so much. But what's wild is when we're looking at, as a percentage change as well, active listings, 58% lower. Sales to new listing ratio is, 83.6. Again, it's important to understand, like, these are dramatic changes. That's a 66% increase over March 2020, right? But let's get into, I think there's a couple other charts I'm going to like here better. So new listings, we can see new listings are actually at a 10-year high, but active listings as a total is at a 10-year low. So while we've got more people listing properties than ever before, we've also still got more people buying properties than ever before, because look at that sales activity. Yep, that's a new record for the month of March as well. Now, one thing to be aware of when we're looking at March over March numbers, March 2020 was a particularly weird time in history because that's when here in Canada lockdowns started to happen. So looking at year over year isn't a perfect analogy here, because if anything, we'd expect a lot of those numbers to be suppressed. But when we compare them to the 10 years of data, that's when it's a lot easier for us to compare, where we are today versus where we were in the past. So again, looking at that average price, right, and the benchmark price, we can see that, again, skyrocketing, especially pretty much since 2020 started, right? It's been a crazy year here in real estate. And then again, just looking at sales activity year to date, right? So if you guys want to look at it, again, we can see that still in aggregate, and that's despite multiple lockdowns, we still have a sales activity March year to date that's an all-time high. And, the closest thing comparing to it is 2017, which was about 10% lower back then. And then once you ignore 2017, and 2017 was a crazy real estate year as well, all of a sudden the next closest is going to be last year with about 2,000. Again, we're talking about a 30% increase over last year as far as sales activity going. So we are seeing a lot of real estate trade hands. So again, you guys can go check this out. This is the L-Star data. Always encourage you guys to do your own due diligence. But now let's look at some of the buildings that are for sale that kind of triggered me, that resulted in us making this video in the first place. So I'll leave you guys. You can play around on MLS.ca or Realtor.ca and try and find apartment buildings for sale. But this was the first one that kind of jumped out for me. And so the reason it jumps out for me, we actually came pretty close to not buying this building, but another building on Notre Dame. So it's in the south end of the city. And again, I actually really like the building. I like the layout. I like the building we were thinking about buying. I really liked it. But if memory serves me correct, I think we were talking about buying it for like $150, $160 a unit last year. And that seemed just a little too pricey for us to want to jump into. So I'm pretty sure we decided to put that deal on ice and pick it up in 2021 when prices presumably were more reasonable. Obviously, that doesn't appear to be the case, or at least it's definitely not the case right now. So I'm going to bring up my calculator for you guys, and let's just do some simple math here. But looking at this, we've got 7.2 million, so $7.25 million, divided by how many units? 23 units. And 9 of those are 1-bedroom units as well. So only 14 are 2 bedrooms. But that means that we're looking at $315,000 per unit for this building on Notre Dame. And so if you guys aren't familiar with the area, let's pull it up. So again, we can see south end of the city, right? Actually, I think a very desirable part of the city near Westmount. You've got Byron further to the west. And again, this area is all building up. We've got Lambeth as well, further south, which is really building up. So eventually this is all going to be filled in with subdivision and commercial big box stores across this southwestern corner of the city. So again, location, I like it. You're close to major shopping centers. You've got pretty much everything you could hope to find on Southdale there. But I mean, for $315,000 a unit, guys, I'm hoping some of these doors are made of gold. Actually, maybe it needs to be made of Bitcoin at this point. Gold maybe doesn't even cut it. Now, it's obvious that they have fixed it up, right? So we can see it looks like relatively new paint, carpets, light fixtures, right? These are signs that they're going a little bit above and beyond. Because we don't just have the generic fluorescent lights all down the hallway. We don't just have the bare minimum Home Depot, what people call them boob lights, just like the bulge there. We don't have those. We can see we've got some slightly artisan light fixtures. So maybe that's where all our money was spent on those. But, again, Looks very nice, very clean inside. The gas fireplace is wonderful. The feature wall looks like new windows and patio door. This unit appears to be staged, which again, I would hope at $315,000, you are absolutely going to stage that unit for us, because I hope I get the furniture, I guess is what I'm saying. But again, like we can see they've gone a little bit above and beyond with some of the light fixtures. And again, not that light fixtures are that important, but this is the details I sometimes look at to try and determine whether someone really did go the extra mile. Again, we've got a tile backsplash, stainless steel appliances, new boxes and cabinets. We've got the stainless steel pulls on them, which everyone likes to see as well. But again, it looks like, that looks like a more basic light fixture right at the top of the screen there. So again, it's not wildly high end, but it does look very clean, looks very nice, very presentable. I think it seems like they did a great job on these renovations. New carpet in the bedrooms. So, this is one of those things where I get it, but I also don't know if I do get it. So when we're going super high end, I get wanting carpet in the bedrooms. Maybe you can even demand a slightly greater rent, because maybe people enjoy it, right? It's not cold on your bare feet, so on and so forth. However, from a maintenance standpoint, if I'm going to pay $315,000 per unit, I don't think I ever want to have to hear from my property manager or one of the maintenance people about carpets being stained or dirty. Now, again, maybe you get a high-class quality tenant in these buildings and there's no concerns about that. But I would say Notre Dame, while a nice neighborhood, it's by no means high-end or exclusive. And again, local Londoners, feel free to correct me in the comment section, because I know how everyone gets triggered about how I classify neighborhoods. Again, bathroom here looks clean, looks nice. They definitely went above and beyond with the vanity here, newer toilet. We've got tile surround, but again, like just a normal looking bath insert there. Nothing too tub, nothing too crazy there. Kitchen, again, nice, clean, but relatively simple light fixture up there. And your generic galley kitchen that you'd expect in almost any of these. This looks like it's probably a 2-bedroom unit. Got the bathroom at the end. And so again, like the funny thing is, a lot of these layouts are very similar to my apartment building. The only difference is that my shit hasn't been done to the nines, and we're not trying to sell it for $3 1/4 or $315. But again, everything looks clean and nice. I guess we can see, they've got the baseboards where they've replaced them. They've replaced them with some meaty baseboards. So again, those little attentions to detail are nice to see. But there's a boob light right there just in the bedroom, right? So again, not going super high end with everything, but everything does look clean and nice overall. So again, I wonder if those are new carpets or whether I think they have to put new carpets, right, guys? I hope they did. There's another boob light in the entranceway, so I don't know. Again, I'm definitely not hating on it. It looks like very nice, very clean. But at the same time, $315,000, to the best of my knowledge, you are setting a goddamn record in the city of London if you sell at that price. Again, realtors, let me know if I'm wrong in the comment section. I mean, their laundry room looks on point or on fleek. Is that the better term now? But again, I don't know. It's clean. It's been cleaned out, but there's nothing too crazy. It looks like they've got some nice newer boilers in there. That's nice to see. Okay. Got a water heater. I'd expect you to have a few. Things look relatively clean here from a security and cable standpoint, which again is nice to have, but I'd expect everything to be done perfectly at this price point. Electricals here. Be curious. I don't know if they showed us an electrical panel in the unit or whether we could just see it on one of the photos here, but I'm hoping that they've upgraded it where it's breakers. Yeah, I don't see where it would obviously be in one of those photos. Maybe we'll get a description here, though. So let's see what the description reads. This is AAA. Great location. Renovations were completed with high-end finishes and quality work. Pride of ownership throughout this investment. 23 units, 21 units done per interior photos. Mixes 9 1-bedroom units and 14 2-bedrooms, always rented. Possible the best renovated and maintained 23-unit building in London, Ontario. Well played, sir. The best renovated and maintained 23-unit building in London, Ontario. So lots of asterisks in that claim, but yeah, it probably is. Of all the 23-unit buildings in all the gin joints in this city, yours is by far the nicest I've seen. This is your opportunity to own this worry-free investment. Do not disturb tenants or gain access. That would classically be me and Jeff just breaking into the building in the pre-COVID days. All inquiries, showings, and offers through listing agent at seller's request. So really not a ton of information here. Presumably they've upgraded the electrical and units and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know. Smash or pass on this one. I feel pretty confident saying, even though Mike Rosehart's not here, he would pass on this deal. And I know that it's safe to say I'm not going to be the owner of this building. But if you're thinking this is crazy, this is actually not even the most expensive apartment building for sale in London, Ontario right now. So in fact, there's a more expensive building. I see someone was asking about the HVAC system. I'm going to guess there is no HVAC system in here. Sorry. I'm going to guess there is no HVAC system in here. I think it's on boilers, it looked like. And yeah, although actually, let's go back and look at one of the units, but I can't imagine it's on HVAC, right? So let's see. Look for a couple of heating sources. Huh. So far, I haven't seen anything. Where in the fuck is it? I don't see any vents or any rads. Well, I actually have no idea how this is heated then. Oh, there's a rad. Okay, yeah. So presumably it's all boiler rads, but I didn't see a lot of them. But I guess maybe it's just the way the photos are taken, right? Yeah, it looks like there's one maybe in the bathroom too. So yeah, I wouldn't expect there to be necessarily an HVAC system in these purpose-built apartment buildings, particularly when they're a couple decades old. But here's the one. And this one is so expensive, you need cap locks on the entire time, because God damn it, pay attention, because this is by far the most expensive piece of real estate in London on a per unit basis that I've seen. So we've essentially got $10 million, but hey, we'll cut $5,000 off the price. And how many units are we looking at here? So I've got, what was it again? Do you see 30? Okay, so 30. Oh yeah, 30 high end. It's so hard with these capitals because I'm looking for the number to jump out. But 30 high end finished apartments. So those of you that are just not feeling like doing mental math like myself today, that's $333,166 per unit. $333,000. The first house I bought. Now this is going to make me sound old, but in 2010, I bought my first property. It was a 6-bed, 2-bath in Northeast London for $173,000, and I beat myself up for a year wondering if I overpaid on it. So like, trust me, my house was nicer than any of these apartments, and they're actually in the same neighborhood too. That's what's funny. And I also own an apartment building. Not a 30 unit, it's like a 14 unit in the same neighborhood as this. So in less than a 2-block walk, door to door, I've got an apartment building that we bought back in 2019, I want to say. Maybe it was the start of 2020. We closed on it, but similar location, not similar amenities. So these are very nice units. I'm not going to lie to you. They're exceptional units for here in London, Ontario. I actually like the location as well. So I'm pretty bullish on Cheapside and Adelaide area. So again, I think this is a great location, but this price is wild. So before I even show you guys the photos, I'm going to actually read off the description here. And I'm not going to yell, but just assume the realtor's yelling at us because he's got cap locks on. So turnkey operation, truly one of a kind, 4-story apartment building, 30 high-end finished apartments with luxury finishes, fireplaces, ceramic, tile, laminate floors, and carpeted bedrooms. Units have stainless steel appliances, stove, fridge, dishwasher, washer, and dryer. Building is comprised of 15 one-bedroom apartments. So again, there are some larger apartments in here, but half your units are one-bedroom units. And we'll get to the issues behind the 1% rule in a second, guys. 7 2-bedroom units and 6 2-bedroom loft apartments and 2 3-bedroom apartments. This building features front door parking and underground parking, controlled entry, elevator, professional gym, and lounge party room. All apartments have a large deck, excellent location in a mature residential area within walking distance to shopping and all your essential needs, close to playground and tennis courts, pride of ownership throughout this investment. So I'm pretty sure you guys can dive into the history on this yourself, but I think this building sold in the last 2 years, last 3 years. I remember looking at it. I wish I would have even had the idea of like, what if I bought it, fixed it up real nice, like, and then charged more than you've ever seen for an apartment before in London, but I just wasn't thinking that innovatively. So again, I think it's beautiful. They do have big porches. You know, the underground parking is relatively unique, particularly in this area of London. Again, I'm not sure how much really of a premium for rent you'll be able to charge because of it, but it's certainly overall a nice looking building. Now, I probably would have tried to clean up just a little bit of that, because again, when I'm dropping 10 million for 30 units, I expect everything to be on point. But again, nice clean building, great location. The amenities look great, right? Like, again, this is something that you'd almost expect in a brand new downtown condo build. So I can understand that perspective. Hey, what's up, Diamond Bro on Twitch? Appreciate you commenting on Twitch, because we don't get many viewers on Twitch. So sad thing is you probably are the only person watching me on Twitch, but I appreciate it because we usually average 0.3 viewers on Twitch. YouTube and Facebook, you'll find a few more folks following along with us. But yeah, it's slim pickings right now on Twitch, but appreciate you commenting. So again, obviously this is an elevator building. There's additional costs associated with that. Again, you can charge maybe a little bit more rent for an elevator building, but I don't think it's significant. Their laundry room's not nearly as nice as the last laundry room. So just going to say that right now. But yeah, actually I'll get to that in a second when I compare it to my buildings. Again, this looks nice. It's clean. It's definitely unique. The gym, the party room, all the additional features. I get that you've got underground parking, but I feel like you should have had someone pressure wash it and get the green moss off of it and really just like spruce it up a little bit. But when we get into the actual units, yeah, they look nice. They look clean. But again, this isn't brand new in my opinion. I don't know if I love the fact that we've got two different colors going on here. We can see electrical panel there. Don't know whether it's fuse or breakers. I'd assume it's breakers. Again, at this price, I hope. You know, you've got a dishwasher in it, which is nice. I think that's important at this price point. But again, we're not dealing with a massive footprint. I believe that was a 1-bedroom we were just looking at there. They're not absolutely massive. Although this one looks like it's got a little ensuite, so that's nice. So that's probably one of the 2 beds or 3 beds. Again, like, I don't know, clean and nice, but this isn't wild in my opinion. Like, I'd expect a lot more in finishes at this price point. Again, this is looking clean. We've got tile backsplash, the stainless steel appliances. But yeah, I don't know. I just, it's hard for me to wrap my head around. Now, this is something I was going to discuss about laundry and unit. So one of the things that would be really important if I was actually seriously looking at buying one of these properties is whether most of the units have laundry and unit. Because straight up, at the rent prices that I would need to charge in order to make these numbers work, we're going to need in-suite laundry and we're going to need a dishwasher in the unit. I can tell you that much for free. Again, like these carpets, like this is a used carpet. I don't think I should be paying for a used carpet $333,000 a unit. Spend that $3,000 and just charge me $330 then, so I can go get myself some new carpets. And again, like these are not like old, but they're not brand new sliding doors or anything. They look like probably a decade old. Again, it looks like some mild wear and tear on aspects of the kitchen. Like these are cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like that looks like a cool apartment building to own. I get it. I just don't know if losing tons of money by owning it justifies that low glass see-through pass. It's just tough for me to make the numbers work. Because again, I think this counts as a bedroom too, right? When they're talking about loft bedrooms, I think you put a little a cot or a little roll there, and that's your bedroom. I think technically. So anyways, let's actually talk about this building. And then I've got a couple other buildings that I'm going to highlight for you guys as well. But straight up, reminder, this is the price per unit they want. If I'm following the 1% rule, that means on average, I need to be getting just a little over $3,300 a month in rent. Go find me an apartment right now in London, Ontario. Not a house, but we're renting out this entire freaking house for $23,000 $500 a month, I want to say. And again, it's 4 bids, multiple baths, lots going on, our own garage. I don't understand why someone would pay even close to what we pay for this house for this apartment. So naturally, then it becomes, well, what can the market actually bear? Well, as I mentioned to you guys, I actually own an apartment building within 2 blocks of this building. And actually, like, our building's kind of like, it's not even 2 blocks, but I'm saying 2 blocks because people really like to nitpick on my shit. But in essence, our building's like back onto kind of the same parking lot area. And so with that, we've been renovating that building for a while. We've been increasing the rents and turning over the units. And some of the things we're doing is we add a dishwasher, right? We add in-suite laundry. And because we add these amenities, we can often get for our 2-bedroom apartment in this neighborhood, $1,750, $1,850 a month, but that's lightly furnished as well. So again, when I'm looking at this apartment building, I'm thinking, what could we maybe get in rents? Maybe you can get $2,000. Maybe you can get $2,100, $2,200 a month. But I think that you're going to be topping out on the high end there. But the other big question is, how many of these units are currently vacant? How many are currently tenanted? And what are the current rents? And honestly, I don't even need to see a rent roll. I can tell you right now, buying it at this price, there's going to be almost no way to be able to cash flow. I just can't envision a world where they're getting an average of $2,000 a month right now. Because again, the market may bear $2,000 in this moment, but odds are they've rented out a bunch of the units in the past. So again, unless all those tenants decide to move when you buy the property, you're not going to be able to immediately jack up the rents to fair market value, even if you could command $2,200 a month. I imagine around $2,200 a month on average for the apartments here. That's probably when we're going to be looking in the realm of breaking even. Now, obviously, a big aspect here is what's your debt service cost, right? So it depends on what cost you're able to borrow at, but you're going to have a tough time cash flowing, improving it to CMHC at this purchase price, in my opinion. So the really low interest rates probably aren't going to be an easy grab unless you're putting a lot of money down on this purchase. So again, I'd love to get your thoughts, your opinions, your perspective here. Is there a version where you can actually make this work in your mind? Like, is there a version where you can rationalize or do the mental gymnastics necessary to contort yourself to fit that $333,000 purchase price per unit? Because if you can, hey, I've got like 240 units I'd like to sell you. So if you guys would love to buy my portfolio at crazy prices I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, slide into those DMs. I'll make it an even $300,000 per unit, no questions asked, and I'll even put in new carpet in every bedroom. None of our bedrooms even have carpet, but we'll carpet everything if you like that much. But I think the really important thing here, guys, to understand is, one, just because a property is listed for a price doesn't mean it's going to sell. However, in this market, who the fuck knows? The second point I really want to make is, just because a property is listed doesn't mean it's a good deal. So I see so many people being scared, though, being like, this is the first 30-unit apartment building I've seen in forever for sale in London. What if I never get to buy another apartment building again? That sort of FOMO will absolutely destroy you as an investor, particularly in this market. So you need to be dialed into your numbers. You need to really know exactly what you're trying to accomplish as a real estate investor before just jumping in blindly or hoping that there's going to be another greater fool that will buy this building off of you. Because again, I'd have to go get a realtor to pull the stats for me, but I'm pretty sure this sold for well under $200,000 a unit a few years ago, unless I'm getting my numbers confused. So again, would really encourage you guys to, before you jump into any of these things, do your due diligence. Because let's actually just do the math one more way before I move on and start talking about a few other buildings here. But 995 divided by 47 bedrooms, that's $212,000 a bedroom. So again, I don't like, and the reason I bring up bedrooms is sometimes with student rental properties, we actually talk about per bedroom, right? When I originally started investing here in London, Ontario, my first few investment properties were student rentals. And back then, we had this magic rule that I would call the $50,000 bedroom. In fact, when we originally started it, we called it the $40,000 bedroom, but quickly the market adapted, $50,000 bedroom. And what that meant was, hey, I can rent out a bedroom for about $500 a month. Well, using the 1% rule, what would I be willing to pay for that bedroom? Well, about $50,000, right? So again, when we're looking at this, that means if you were to try and rent this out to students and you were going to only rent it out by the bedroom, we'd need about $2,000 a bedroom. Still going to be a pretty difficult sell even if those students really do love the glass see-through on the loft level. So again, this probably seems like I'm really shitting on these two buildings, but what I'm really trying to do, guys, is highlight for you how important it is that you do your own due diligence, that you're running your numbers, and don't just blindly jump into anything. Now, again, those were two of the most expensive apartment buildings for sale in London. But this is an apartment building. I think we actually came close to looking at this one as well. We might have been in verbal discussions with the seller, but we never took it much further than that. But again, this is a 12-unit building. Oxford and Richmond, I believe, would be one of the closest intersections. Well, actually, this is on Oxford East. Oh, this is a different building than I was thinking. I'll pull up the location in a second just so we can check it out. But what we're looking at there is, again, $237,000 a unit. Now, these are primarily 2-bedroom units, but this building compares very close. Like all my boring buildings, they look like this, like straight up. It looks like a carbon copy of some of mine almost. And I'm trying to think, what's the most we've ever paid to buy a building? I think the most we've ever paid is $140,000 a unit. And at the time, I was like, it's going to take 5 years to justify this, but we're going to get a crazy VTB and we'll make it work. Oh no, that is okay. I forgot. That's the building I was thinking of. I was thinking east was east of Richmond, but it's east of the river. So that's where the west east starts. So again, just fascinating. But like for a 2-bedroom here, I don't see how you could ever get $2,000 a month in rent in this current market. Again, who knows with time and inflation being what it is, the money printer go burr, all that shit. So absolutely, we could eventually see ourselves on the other side of $2,000 a month in rent per 2-bedroom apartment here in London. But we're going to have to see some crazy UBI or some crazy inflation, or maybe a combo of both, before it's going to actually be practical, in my opinion. So, but this actually does constitute one of the cheaper purpose-built apartment buildings for sale right now in London, which is wild to think. So again, that's it right here. And below that, we're not going to find a lot that's purpose-built. This thing's been for sale. This thing's been for sale pre-COVID, I'm pretty sure. So that's when you know you've been sitting on the market for a while. But yeah, I don't think that there's really much else that's purpose-built. You'll find some converted dwellings, some, big buildings on Central or in the Old North or Woodfield district. But as far as purpose-built goes, it's pretty slim pickings. And it seems like this is one of the cheaper buildings at $237,000 a unit, which just blows my mind. Now, what was this again? Oh, actually, this was just more random. Hey, there's a random gym for sale if you guys are interested. So I was actually just kind of looking at it. I really don't actually have a purpose whatsoever for this. This was more just an interesting thing. But what I did want to talk about here, so here's a high-rise downtown office building for sale. And now what I know is going to happen if we continue to see more and more pressure on real estate prices here in London, I know that both sophisticated and unsophisticated investors are going to start talking about, oh, what about converted buildings? Should we buy a building and convert it into residential? Well, let's quickly run some of the numbers here and see where we land comparatively. So this is 8.2 million. And now again, there's no guarantees that you could even convert this, but let's just pretend that we can convert it to see roughly what per square foot are we buying this building for? And then what do we think it might cost to convert it? So if we're looking at 8.2 million in our purchase price, and I should move this over so you guys can see it, divided by 61,000 square feet. And again, we'll just assume that we can use every square foot as rentable. It's $133 a square foot to begin with. Now we're going to actually have to convert the building. We're going to have to change everything. And we're going to have to apply for permission to convert, all those things. All other things being equal, you'd be very easy to spend it'd be very easy to spend $100,000 per unit, I'm going to guess, in total renovation costs to convert this from office building to residential. I wouldn't be surprised if it even cost you a bit more once you factored in the city and things, if there's going to be development costs and things of that nature for redeveloping or repurposing the existing building. So again, that's not a silver bullet to finding cheap real estate either, because let's say that it was going to cost us $100 per square foot and that our average unit was around $1,000 a unit. Well, in that case, again, $1,000 a unit, or 1,000 square feet a unit means we're at $233,000 for that unit. So again, we'd roughly be looking at paying on the low end of what goes for an apartment building here in London. Now, obviously, those numbers I literally pulled out of my ass. So please do more due diligence before you try and make any of these things work. But it is important to be aware of. It is a crazy time right now in the Canadian real estate cycle. London, Ontario is no exception to it. And I don't know, call me a bear, but I think buying at $333,000 a unit, with hindsight, people may look back on that as not being the best financial decision they made. Now, selling at $333,000 unit, that's a whole other ballgame. That probably was one of the best financial decisions you could make if you could find a buyer for that building. But anyways, I think it's really important to understand that there's no easy solutions out there. So if you're looking to try and invest in apartment buildings, I know a lot of you aspire to actively invest or someday invest in these apartment buildings. The way we get the majority of our deals, and again, we still do look online, we look on market, but the vast majority of our leads these days and the deals we end up closing do come from private sources. So we are constantly talking to realtors. We're constantly talking to landlords, constantly talking to property managers, and just understanding that real estate's a contact sport. The more people we get in contact with, the greater the chance is someone's going to have an opportunity for us. The greater the chance is someone will follow up with us a month, a year, a decade from now and be like, hey, you chatted to me way back when. It wasn't the right time to sell now, but what about, or like now is the right time. Again, that does happen. There's certain buildings that myself and Jeff have been in contact with for years where we eventually end up buying it. And there's one where I've been in contact with this owner now for probably going on 5 years. And someday I think he's going to sell to me. So again, it's not always just a silver bullet. None of this is a get rich quick scheme. Our buildings probably aren't going to go to the moon the same way that random crypto gambling might take you. But if you're approaching this, understand your underlying business model. If you understand what you're trying to accomplish as a real estate investor, and you've got some key metrics to follow, some of the key metrics that I follow when buying apartment buildings is, believe it or not, we're still aiming for that 1% rule. So if I'm buying your building at $140,000 a unit, I need to see a way to be able to get it to $1,400 a month per rent for that unit, or else I'm not going to be able to make my business model work. And if there's no way that we can come to an agreement, if there's no way that we can find a way that you can sell the building to me at the price or the terms or a combo of the two that I need, then we're not going to do business. I'll move on and find another apartment building, another potential seller. The problem is with a lot of people right now that want to buy apartment buildings, they're not willing to put in the work necessary on the front end. And so they're left trying to figure out ways to finance $333,000 a unit. You got a better mortgage team than us if you're able to finance it at any sort of loan to value at 80% or above there. Now, again, maybe you can pull it off privately, but I think it's going to be tough. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your opinions in that comment section. One, do you think $333,000 per unit, will we see that property sell? Will we see a building sell in London, Ontario for over $300,000 a unit in 2021? Do you think we'll see multiple buildings sell? Do you think real estate's about to crash and this is a sign of it? I don't think it's about to crash because based upon the stats we just looked at, it seems like there's still a lot of demand and supply is still relatively short. But if everyone starts pricing at these prices, I have to imagine some people won't be able to afford it and will eventually see a cooling off of the market. But what do I know? I'm the sort of person that thinks that supply and demand and things like that matter, when obviously we're in a whole new paradigm. But appreciate you guys watching this video. Smash the like button if you got value from it. Hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. And let us know what's the craziest building for sale in your city right now. Share a link in the video description or let us know price per unit and whether you think it'll actually sell this year. Because I'd like to think some people are on a fishing expedition here, but the way people throw around money, who knows? Maybe it will actually sell for $333,000 a unit. Let me know, and we'll see you in the next video.